Hello everyone, my name is DimitriusMac, and welcome back to the Week 9 recap of NFL Fantasy, my Fantasy Wrath League, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are headed into Week 10, although depending on when you're watching this video actually might have been uploaded on Sunday. I'm not sure if I had time to upload it on Saturday, but either way, we're Week 10, and things are hot and heavy. If your league is anything like mine, everything is just very stressful at this moment. You're dealing with injuries, you're dealing with suspensions. Just, my God, things are just simply hectic, and we're going to be getting into all of that, folks. And with the playoffs around the corner, starting in Week 14 in my league, I know some other leagues out there start in Week 13, I believe. Or, I'm sorry, they start the playoffs in Week 14, and they have 3-round formats, where my league has 2. So, for a lot of people, there's only 3 weeks left in basically the regular season of fantasy football. Or 4 weeks, I should say, left in the fantasy football, and it can be very hectic right now. Every game feels like a must-win. Every decision you make, everything you do, every trade talks you're having feels very critical and very stressful. And I'm just out here to say, folks, it's no different in my league. So I'm right there with you if you're in fantasy. It's that time of year. It's the grind month of November. I'm not joined by any guests this week. I could not book anybody for this week, so I'll be going over the show by myself and going over everything that's going on in the league, all the hectic news, and let's just jump right into it, folks. So how about this, folks? 105-65, a victory in my favor. This is the number 1 scoring person in our league by a few hundred points, actually. Not a few hundred, I believe like 100 or 150 or something like that, and I'll go back towards the end of this video and I will show you guys those facts. And I do it every week, or I've been doing it every week for the past few weeks to show how dominant the Suge Knights have been. But this week, his team simply laid a dud. So let's take a look at what happened. We scroll down, and we see that there was simply no consistency from players that should have gotten him some type of consistency. Kareem Hunt perhaps had his worst game fantasy-wise of the season versus the Dallas Cowboys. You thought that was going to be a big, barn burner type of high-scoring type of game. It ended up not being that high a scoring of a game. LaShawn McCoy on Thursday Night Football was absolutely bottled up by the New York Jets defense. They absolutely bottled it up. And I don't know if you guys remember. If you do remember, I recall for this. I wanted this to happen last week. And it actually happened. It was a miracle. And LaShawn McCoy, one of the leading rushers in the NFL, just getting absolutely bottled up. I'm sure that hurt a lot of people out there. And there was just really nothing going on consistently. Jonathan Stewart had 2 fumbles. You guys can see here. He had negative 1.90 points, 2 fumbles, absolutely killer in a situation. Jonathan Stewart does not belong on any fantasy rosters right now. I repeat, Jonathan Stewart does not belong on any fantasy rosters right now. If you have him, if you're thinking about giving him a chance, if you're like, oh, he's playing Atlanta this week, oh, maybe he can do it. Do not trust it. Do not trust it. Christian McCaffrey is by far the more trustworthy back in that backfield, and right now they're struggling to get the run going as it is. I feel like Christian McCaffrey is more of a receiver nowadays than a running back. It's just like they don't have a running game. So honestly, there was nothing really spectacular from anybody on this roster. Marcus Mariota, the high-scoring man for him with 15 points versus Baltimore, which is actually pretty admirable because Baltimore's defense is pretty good. And you take a look at my side, Marvin Jones has been perhaps the pickup come-up of the year for me, and I can show you guys why, because Marvin Jones has just been playing well. He's been playing well, so well out wide, and you would think somebody in the slot, somebody like a Golden Tate would take advantage, and then he has been too, and it just seems like this Detroit offense has just been moving, but Marvin Jones has seemed to get his connection with Matt Stafford going now, and it just seems like everything is moving in a nice and smooth scenario. And I really like the matchup with Cleveland this week in Week 10. Other than that, folks, there was really nothing. He had a lot of buys last week. Deshaun Watson injured reserved. That absolutely killed him. And I believe we filmed it before Deshaun Watson. Last week, me and Dion, who was the owner of the Suge Knights, filmed this before Deshaun Watson actually went down. So that changed the landscape of a lot of things. And it's just a lot. And speaking of one of the people I was scared was going to get suspended, A.J. Green here. If you didn't see what happened, A.J. Green actually got in a real tussle with Jacksonville's cornerback, Jalen Ramsey, and he literally chokehold slammed him to the ground. I was scared I was going to miss him for 3-4 games, something crazy like that, but they're letting him go. And on the flip side of that, someone who wasn't ejected for pushing somebody in the back, Mike Evans, was later than suspended But the likes of AJ Green and also Carlos Hyde, who was on my team, who was also kicked out, thankfully after he racked up 12.5 points, were not suspended. So I get the good end of the stick, but not everybody got the good end of the stick, and I will get into that later, folks. But for now, I'm happy I beat the league leader, our defending champ, and I'm just trying to look forward and look positive. I move on to 4-5, and he has dropped to 7-2. Here's another no-brainer, folks. The fundraisers versus the kid got next. Excuse me, 45 to 100 here. What happened? So we take a look at this, and we see that it's already established that the kid got next is not paying attention. Antonio Brown on a bye, Patriots defense on a bye. There's really nothing to cover because his team is just there. He has star players, but he doesn't pay attention, so he's not going to be able to utilize them to the best of his abilities. He's just going to have to hope and pray, even if he's slightly paying attention, which I doubt he is. So all the fundraisers had to do was really put up a meager performance, and he didn't. He put up a very, very good performance. Getting performances out of fantasy, people who have not been performing well, such as Marshawn Lynch, finally getting 18 points. People would thought he would probably get something like that all season long. It's not the case. Matt Ryan actually playing pretty good. Alshon Jeffrey, a player that I had on my team that, oh man, I wish I had kept on to. I wish I had believed. I wish I had more faith in him, but Nelson Aguilar seemed like the better go-to at the time being. But Alshon Jeffrey has now stepped it up, and he's I think he's a top 5 receiver now in fantasy. And not that means a whole lot, because technically T.Y. Hilton is a top 5 fantasy option. He's a top 5 receiver, and Lord knows, as me, I'm an avid T.Y. Hilton over the years of my fantasy career, and I know that's some BS. So honestly, if you're thinking about starting him versus Pittsburgh this week, best of luck to you, especially since he's nursing that groin injury. Best of luck to you. I would stay far away from that, especially since Pittsburgh allows the second less, I believe, air passage yards throughout the league up to date. And I think they've allowed the second least amount of touchdowns from quarterbacks. So, if you're desperate, you're desperate. You got to do what you got to do. I understand it, but you got to be in a pretty dark place to get with T.Y. Hilton. But anyways, folks, back to the matter at hand. This was just a performance that was just built for the fundraisers to win, and he got what he needed to do. He did what he needed to do, and he moves on to 5-4. And the kid got next drops down to, I believe, a 2-7 record. And introducing the new league leader, the ESO Legends. Man, you have come a long way, man. Congratulations to your tremendous start to this season. 8-1, terrific. We haven't seen anything like this. I don't believe in the league. I don't believe anybody's had an 8-1 record in the history of our league, and this is our 3rd year. So congratulations to you for breaking that milestone. You have started off tremendously, and you just keep on going. You keep on grinding. A big win versus the Murder Boners, who has lost 2 in a row now. So what happened here? Folks, we can obviously see that Ezekiel Elliott is suspended now for Week 10. Mike Evans had an abysmal performance. He might as well have been suspended last game because he sure as hell didn't do anything. And it's just nothing. He has no big-time players on his team, especially that are not going to be played. Remember how I talked about some people in my league got the short end of the stick of the suspensions? The Murder Bonus has Ezekiel Elliott suspended going into Week 10. Mike Evans suspended going into Week 10 with this remaining. Cameron Brate without a Jameis Winston. All right, a Carson Wentz who is now on a bye. It's going to be very tough for him to win going forward. And it just sucks because he did start off pretty good to the season, but now it's looking like it's a possibility that he's going to lose 3 in a row. But we're here to recap first. So just even with these players playing, he got nothing. Carson Wentz is by far his best player, and he got no performances. Adrian Peterson had a pretty good game against the San Francisco 49ers, although what running back really hasn't? And the defense and the Raiders kicker had a good game. Drew Brees finally stepped out of it. Todd Gurley going to do what Todd Gurley's going to do. He's going to get you points in the highest scoring offense in the NFL. So Todd Gurley is going to be rolling. As long as Todd Gurley is rolling and he's on your team, you're probably going to have a great time. So looking down at the bench, nothing really. Nothing really on the Murder Bonus side. Tyrod Taylor going in with a 26.9 point game. Sammy Watkins, 12 point, and Marquise Lee, 13.5. So ESO Legends, you got squad. You're obviously probably favored now, in my opinion, to win our league. because of the fact that Deshaun Watson has left the roster of our dear beloved previous champion, the Suge Knights. So I think that you have the best chance of winning this thing. But we'll see. When the playoffs comes around, we'll see how everything's shaped up. But for this one, the Murder Boners drops to 4-5, and the ESO Legends move on to an astounding 8-1 record. So this was a very big surprise win. Supremacy moved on to 3-6 in Week 9, and I almost said it. Isaiah's team. I would not say it, Isaiah. I swear, you almost got me. Isaiah's team moves on to or drops to 4-5, I should say. So what happened? Jared Goff had a very good performance, but if you look down this list here, you're gonna be like, ew, disgusting, disgust. A lot of that has to do with Deshaun Watson. Like I said, a lot of people are going to be affected by Deshaun Watson, particularly if you had or have multiple Houston Texans on your team. Lamar Miller, 9 points. He did the best he could. I don't think that's a terrible performance. I just think he would have gotten more if Deshaun Watson was playing. But Will Fuller, his usefulness now, I think, is absolutely done because he is more of a deep ball threat, and I do not see Tom Savage getting that ball deep like that to him like Deshaun Watson could. So I think Will Fuller owners, hopefully you enjoyed it while you had, and he got you a few wins, but I think it's time to let that boy go. Looking on the other end, Supremacy, nothing too shabby, nothing too shabby. Kenyon Drake getting him some good points right there. Jared Cook, who's been low key one of the best tight ends in fantasy, and he's been getting really good yardage actually. Not too many touchdowns, but yardage wise, he's been doing actually pretty well. And Christian McCaffrey, what I say about Jonathan Stewart? Jonathan Stewart fumbled twice early, I believe it was in the first quarter. Set the mode for Christian McCaffrey to take over. He got his best outing of the season, and he produced 15 points. Javorius Allen got his touchdown with 12 points, and Kirk Cousins just nothing. But it didn't matter. He got the win, and it was intense. But it wasn't the most intense game to happen. And folks, let me show you. I believe it's going to be coming up soon, either the next game that I cover or the game after that. But there was something that was very, very interesting that happened. And the way I explain it, you're going to be like, what? That really happened? And it was quite a doozy. Okay, folks, so it was the next game. There was only one game left. You see the score? You're seeing this right here? You see this 93.98 to 93.56? You're probably looking at it and like, oh my God, that's either happened to me this season and I can relate, or holy crap, I'm glad I am not never bowing down. What a tough loss to the Ballers. What a tough loss. 93.98 to 93.50. That's the closest we've ever had to a tie. Probably ever will have to a tie in this league. Goodness, this went down to the last moment. So I could go over and tell you guys what happened, who performed well. But I'll just explain to you guys what happened in the sense of what happened at the very last play. So to do that, we're going to have to scroll down here. And we folks, are going to have to go to the Green Bay game playing at the Detroit Lions. And you guys can see 4 points. And if you guys watch the game, if any of you out there watching, watch that game. What happened on the very last play of that Green Bay Detroit Lions game? They scored a touchdown. They scored a touchdown at the very last moment. Up until that play, Never Bowing Down had 6 points from his defense. But that last drive, that last touchdown, which I believe there was a penalty involved somewhere that allowed them to get that far, it allowed them to throw for a touchdown, and Green Bay got into the end zone, which therefore deduced the Lions' defensive points, causing this 93.98 to 93.56 loss for Never Bowing Down. Now, folks, and Solomon, man, if you're out there watching, that's as tough as the losses. I can't think of anything I've experienced in fantasy personally that's more tough, more literally down to the last second of a week than that. So going over everything else, you guys see, Kelvin Benjamin didn't even suit up for the Ballers. Mike Gillislee was on a bye. So to lose this was very, very hard. But there's another detail that you guys got to look out for. My boy, Never Bowing Down, Solomon. He was slipping. Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch for week 9. Well, he was a healthy scratch. That means you could have put in just about anybody. You could have picked up somebody from the waiver wires. You could have done something. You should have done something, Solomon. You should have done something, but you got caught slipping at the last minute, and it cost you. You're now sitting at 5-4, and you're not up to the comfortable lead that you've been up to the past few weeks. And, you know, it's things like that. And if I want anybody to learn anything from this, it's to pay the attention to detail. Because stuff like this is fantasy football. And you may not think nonsense like this can happen, but it just very clearly happened. And I'm sure that our league is not the only one that's had something like this happen. I'm pretty sure there's hundreds, if not thousands, of scenarios like this that happen throughout this year of fantasy and in years past. So, folks, if you're thinking about playing fantasy next year, or if you're new and you're looking for tips, don't do this. Always, unless you physically cannot able, check before game time. Because you never know. Be the difference between you losing a game like this, where there'd been no big deal. It's like, oh, he's a healthy fetch. Let me just pick up Chris Ivory. Let me pick up anybody. All right? Anybody would have done. That played and got some type of yardage. But he didn't do it. And it cost him a victory to a guy who's half paying attention. So, you know, I feel for you, but I don't feel for you because this is a competition, Solomon. So, you know, you snooze, you lose. So, folks, now we are at the place where we are looking at the ads for Week 10, folks. Nothing too big here, although Arlene's Darkwood by the Suge Knights could be a little bit something because he's playing against the San Francisco 49ers, and as I stated, San Francisco 49ers can't stop anybody. All right, so that could be big. As for me, I have a huge L that I took. I picked up Matt Forte, looking at, they're going to play this weekend Tampa Bay offense, or weekend Tampa Bay defense, and he's ended up sitting out, which kind of just bites me in the butt. But other than that, I don't think there's going to be there's nothing really big. I mean, Josh McCown could be in for a big day. Some people think him and Fitzmagic are going to go off this week. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. But other than that, there's nothing really too big going on for this week. A quiet week. Here we see the Murder Bonus picking up T.Y. Hilton. Like I said, stay far away from him, in my opinion. Far away. But you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And sometimes, it is what it is. All right? It is what it is. So, I hope he does something for you, Brian. I really do. But that is the Week 10 ads. Nothing really spectacular to really look at here. Okay, folks, to end the show, I'm going to be going over the incredibly convoluted status of our league and why everything matters so much, and it's going to be so crazy. So, I have a matchup with Never Bowing Down, who had that horrid loss last week. We could take a little bit of a look and see everything and the status of this right now. And if you look at this, you're looking at he's probably going to beat the dog piss out of you, Demetrius. I couldn't argue that, only that I need my defense and I need my key players, which happen to be my defense and Jaguars. My kicker, Greg Zuerlein, and the defense of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I need them to really, really go off. But I have a matchup here. You see everything going on. You see that he has Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Leonard Fournette, Bilal Powell, who was going to be getting the increased workload thanks to Matt Forte having a swollen knee, which is just great because that happens to be the week I play Bilal Powell's owner. And Dak Prescott's probably going to have a very big day in Atlanta. Although, who knows? You never know. So, I have a 4-5 matchup. This is the 7th seed versus the now current 4th seed. Big things are at stake here for Solomon, because if he loses this, he's more than certainly going to drop out of that playoff spot. But we have another big matchup here. We have the Fundraisers, who is the 5th seed, playing the 3rd seed, Phillip. And this is a big matchup because whoever loses this match, depending on if Solomon wins or whoever loses, if Solomon loses and I win, I will most certainly move ahead of Brian. I will most certainly move ahead of not only Brian, but I'll most certainly move ahead of Solomon as well. Never bowing down. And you've got an interesting scenario here. But, folks, but, there's even more. You see, if those other two that I just mentioned happen to lose, and and Isaiah's team wins, I will still be in a rock and a hard place. I will still be in 5th place because he beat me. And although I will move ahead of, I'm assuming, the murder bonus, even though he beat me, I beat people that he didn't, including Dion. And which is the Suge Knights right here. And honestly, folks, it's a lot to wrap your head on. These 2 matches right here don't matter much because this is the first place team we can look at right here. By the way, who is actually down by, I'm actually pulling for ESO Legends to lose this one because you could take a loss, man. You can take, I know you want to be in first and everything, but in terms of your playoff spot, you're all but secured. I'm pretty sure you and Dion, unless Dion loses this week. But I don't think Dion is going to lose, and I don't think ESO Legends is going to lose. This game right here is the Kid Got Next in Supremacy. This is all but worth this. I mean, Supremacy is trying to make his last-ditch effort, but I think he fell behind too much. I think at this stage, being at 3-6 with so many 4 and 5 teams and 5 and 4 teams in our league, I don't think it's gonna help him much. Especially since he's in 9th, he's even below DeBallers right now, which is really heartbreaking. Especially like I know he's been paying attention. I know he's been actually trying to win here. So, but these 3 games right here mean so much because I could potentially Suge Knights wins. If Murder Boners loses, and if I beat Never Bowing Down, I will jump into 4th place. Presumably. I'm not sure if I gotten that all right. Murder Boners will be 5 and 5. I'll be 5 and 5. Never Bowing Down will be 5 and 5. I'll have beaten him. I'll have in the last previous tiebreaker. He beat me back in week 2. But since I'm winning, if I win this week, I'm pretty sure they're going to give me the leverage over him. I think that's how it works. So I will jump ahead of him. I will jump ahead of the Murder Boners. The Fundraisers will still remain in 3rd place. And if the Suge Knights wins, he is going to be in 2nd place. ESO Legends is going to be in 1st place, I'm pretty sure, no matter what. Unless... oh, wait, no. I think the Suge Knights beat him. So, actually, I take that back. So, Suge Knights could be in 1st place again if ESO Legends loses. But there's a strong possibility that from these 3 games right here, folks, these 3 games right here, that I could fall into a playoff spot by the end of this week. And it's a lot to wrap my brain around, especially with the horrendous start that I had, folks. That 0-4 start, and I've been 4-1 since. But this is what I live for. This is what I do. They call me the comeback kid, and that's who I am. That's what I like to do. I like to make these tremendous, unbelievable comebacks like I did last season, folks. And I'm starting to get a little bit of deja vu from that. I think I'm getting my things rolling, but it starts week by week, and I've got a very tough matchup with I think has a potential to be the best team in the league. I think he has the most stacked squad, but in terms of performing each and every week together, I don't know if that works. But I do think Never Bowing Down. We can take a look at his roster one more game. I mean, we've got the likes of Dak Prescott, Fournette, Cooks, and Thomas, and Kamara. That is a stack. And then we look at the bench. I mean, my God, Thielen is on the bench, and Tyreek Hill is on the bench as well. Tyreek Hill is on the bench because he has a bye. And it is just, like I said, he has a really good squad. But there is a possibility, folks. We will see how this crazy thing turns out, folks. And just to make it a little bit easier on you guys, I will go to the league page now. That way you guys can see the standings and everything. Yeah, you guys can take a look at the standings right here. And you can see the craziness of this. And like I said, take a look at this points for the Suge Knights. 98. Well, 982 points, even. The next closest scoring to that is 828 points, and that's by the Murder Boners. That's a disparity, folks. That's what I call a disparity. That is a disparity like another. It is unbelievable how much his team has been putting up points. But I think people may start to score more heavily than him. You know, he's dealing with injuries now, and you know, Kareem Hunt has gone down for him, so he's not performing as well as he thought he was going to be performing this time of the year. So we'll see. It's a crazy, crazy league, folks. That is it. That's where I'm going to end today's show, folks. If you like this, if you're new here, and you like what I do here, be sure to click that like button. And if you think I deserve a subscriber after watching this, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well, folks. Also, let me know how you're doing in your league, how you liking the shape up of this league. It's crazy, folks. Every year, it is just about guaranteed to go down in the Fantasy Wrath League here. And I love every single moment of it, folks. So let me know your thoughts, how you're doing in your league, how you think this league is going to shape up. And I will be back with you next week, folks, with or without a guest. I'm doing this thing with or without guests, folks, so hopefully a guest, but if not, I will be back all stressed out by myself. So thank you once again for taking the time out of your day to watch another one of my videos. And with that being said, folks, I will see you all in the next video. Until then, I'm DimitriusMac, and I am out. Peace.